I'm James Miller. Welcome to Critical Thinking. In this course, we'll look at the history of philosophy and the development of reason. We'll look at the foundations set by the rationalists and the empiricists, and we'll study the relationship between faith and science. We'll talk about the work of the Holy Spirit and also develop some critical, skeptical tools that will allow us to identify common fallacies. The goal, by the time we're done, is that we would be able to analyze big ideas critically and come up with some of our own. Glad you're with me. Let's get started. Hi, I'm James Miller. Today I want to talk about the place where critical reasoning comes to bear on morality. Specifically, I want to deal with some moral problems that require us to examine the reasoning behind our moral decision making. Why do we think right and wrong come from where they do? When do we change our mind about what is right and wrong, and why? What pressures cause us to become ambivalent about what decision would be right or wrong in a given case? I want to start by looking at what's called the trolley car problem. The trolley car problem was a philosophical illustration created by a philosopher named PHIL205. The question goes this way. Imagine there's a trolley car barreling along the tracks, and up ahead there's a juncture at which it can be made to turn if a button is pressed. If it continues on the pathway it's going, sadly up ahead someone has tied 5 hostages to the trolley car track. And if it keeps going, it will run over and kill those 5 people. However, at this juncture, if the button is pushed, the trolley car will make a right-hand turn and go down a different track. The 5 people will be saved. However, our dastardly villain has also tied a single individual to the railroad track in that direction. So if the trolley is turned, that person will die. Now imagine yourself standing right there at the juncture where the button is. If you do nothing, 5 people will die. If you press the button, the trolley car will turn right at the juncture and will only kill 1 person. You'll be sparing 5 people for the sake of 1. However, if you do nothing, that 1 person will live and the other 5 will die. What would you do? Is it morally right to press the button and save 5 people at the loss of 1? Or should you not be involved? Now this problem gets us started thinking about where our moral reasoning comes from. What's our foundation? What principles are we following? Utilitarians would easily say, kill the 1, save 5. It's the right thing to do. Maximize happiness. Some people would say, it's just fate which is leading to the death of anyone at all. Why should I be involved? I might be able to save 5 people and kill 1, but then I actually have blood on my hands. If I do nothing, at least I wasn't responsible. I didn't set up this scenario. I didn't get involved in it. It wasn't me. Well, now we can complicate the situation. What the trolley car problem does is it draws attention to how we make moral decisions. Are we simply trying to maximize human life, or do we feel sort of a deeper sense that there should be virtuous inclinations behind what we do and that we shouldn't be cornered into doing something that feels evil? Is all moral decision making just emotion? Because it might be emotion alone that helps us decide that question. Now the question can be complicated. Let's say the train is barreling down towards 5 people. You can push the button to save the 5 and only kill 1, but the 1 person tied to that track is a family member of yours whom you love. Say it's your mother for the sake of argument. Would you push the button and let your mom die because it saves 5 people? Well, most people would say no. Most people wouldn't want that to happen. And that's a place where personal interest gets involved in our moral decision making, often very quickly. And an interlocutor might complain and say, well, you're just being selfish. But there's a whole school of moral theory here that says personal investment in decisions are where morality actually comes from. If I didn't care about my kids more than other kids, my kids wouldn't grow up healthy. It's important that personal investment in moral decisions is a factor. So perhaps saving your mom at the loss of 5 people is a better decision. What if it's 100 people and your mom? 100 people and someone you love? At some point, does the quantity matter, or is the personal investment where the actual moral decision lies? The question can be complicated further. Some people would say, I'd push the button to kill one person and save 5 because it seems the right thing to do. But now imagine this. Imagine there's no button, and instead, there's a bridge that goes up over the railway. And leaning over the bridge and watching the trolley get closer is a very heavy-set man. And you realize that if you push the man off the bridge, he will land on the railroad tracks, and his body will be of sufficient weight to stop the trolley car from killing anyone else. It will, however, kill him. Now, in this case, some people who are willing to push the button to kill one person and save 5 are far less willing to push a bystander off the bridge and kill him. For some, the feeling of responsibility for actually being a murderer is too heavy for them to take. For some, it feels like the bystander really wasn't involved in the situation at all, and he's just being used as an object. People who commit to a Kantian kind of deontology might say that every person deserves dignity, and while I can't save all the people involved, I shouldn't involve someone else. The situation can be complicated further in many different ways. What if one of the people on the railroad track is a doctor and the other one is a murderer? Should you save the doctor and kill the murderer? Is it yours to judge? But ultimately, what all the different scenarios do is force us to ask, what principles am I following? And do I follow them consistently, or do I change them scenario to scenario? Or are all of my ethical decisions simply situational, and I just go with what seems right at the time? Many people are making ethical decisions in exactly that way. The question is that the right way to make ethical decisions? Is it okay to simply say, I'm going to go with my gut in any given situation? Or should I develop a principle, a scheme of moral thinking, and say these are the rules that I'll follow, and I'll always stick to them even when the decisions are hard? Think about the trolley car problem for a while yourself, and think about what you'd do given the various scenarios. It'll help you analyze where your ethical decisions come from, and maybe make some clearer decisions about what kinds of ethics you think are actually right and wrong.